Welcome to our third mini-conference. I'm Keith Harper, President of the Board of Directors of Narcolepsy Network. With our webinars, Narcolepsy Network strives to provide educational content to support people living with narcolepsy and their families. Last year, we launched a new series of mini-conferences in a virtual format so that we could continue to interact with our members and supporters during this pandemic. We want to hear from you. We would like feedback on these webinars. We ask that you fill out a brief survey at the end of this session to help us understand what is most useful for you. In the survey, we will also be asking you about educational topics of interest for upcoming webinars and conferences. Today's webinar will feature Involuntary Muscle Loss, a deeper dive into cataplexy with Dr. Chad Ruoff. Cataplexy, subtle to severe and everywhere in between, with Narcolepsy Network Youth Ambassador Caroline Arnett. Food Fast, Make Ahead Dishes with Christine Hackenbrook. A comedy show with Jill Kimmel. And Yoga with Jody Shimabukuro. Our next webinar will feature self-advocacy and will be hosted mid-June. We will be sending you information about this program in May. So sit back, enjoy, and thank you.
Thank you so much for this invitation to speak to you all. We're going to talk about cataplexy. So just to give you an overview of some questions we're going to be answering at a very, basic level, just what does cataplexy look like? So I'll show some videos and discuss some of the common triggers. We'll also attempt to answer, what causes narcolepsy and cataplexy. And then we'll finish up with a review of some current and some future treatment options for cataplexy, hopefully. So let's just start off with the pentad, the narcolepsy pentad. So the core features of narcolepsy, of course, include excessive daytime sleepiness, sleep-related hallucinations, sleep paralysis, disrupted nighttime sleep, and of course, cataplexy. So let's delve into cataplexy just a little bit more. So what are some of the common triggers and what muscle groups are actually involved in cataplexy? So you see on this figure A, illustrating that laughter actually is most patients demonstrate cataplexy from laughter. But importantly, in each of these different emotions, you'll see patients without narcolepsy in this seminal report also endorsed muscle weakness by all of these triggers actually. But again, the classic emotion that triggers cataplexy is going to be positive emotion. It's unusual or atypical to only have cataplexy, say, from a negative emotion such as anger. And then what muscle groups are generally affected? So oftentimes it'll be like a knees buckling, shoulders shrugging, head bobbing, that sort of thing. So you can see here that legs, knees are often reported as affected muscle group, but then it goes to arms and pretty similar in percentages, head and shoulders, and jaw dropping or sagging. So what's the typical duration of cataplexy? So you can see here in figure C, the typical duration is going to be 5 to 30 seconds. And then, when you get to over 2 minutes, that's a little less likely. Of course, there is a condition called status cataplecticus that is, I haven't seen for quite some time. The classic presentation these days of status cataplecticus would probably be someone that has cataplexy and is likely taking an antidepressant and they run out or they decide to abruptly stop the antidepressant. And you can have a pretty profound rebound in cataplexy with the abrupt cessation of the antidepressant. And so what's the frequency? So typically, once a week, once per day to several times per week is the typical frequency, but certainly it can also occur less. But it's not common to only have, one event per year or something like that. So next, without further ado, show you some videos because, a picture is worth 1,000 words, but a video is even worth even more. And so we're going to start off. I know this is a talk on cataplexy and narcolepsy in humans, but we owe a lot to our understanding and appreciation of where we are at today with our understanding due to Dobermans and other dogs and animals having narcolepsy, cataplexy. So it was discovered sometime back in late 1990s that narcolepsy in dogs is actually due to a mutation in the hypercretin 2 receptor. And so a lot of studies and how to treat cataplexy really started with trying to treat cataplexy in animals. So let's show this video here. So you can see the dogs playing here, having lots of fun. You can see the one over there not moving, and then these others will soon experience cataplectic attacks. And boom, they're out of it. They're back to normal. All right, so since we're talking about humans today, let's discuss or show some videos on cataplexy in humans. You can see him abruptly sit up. What's really important with cataplexy is it's a sudden transient muscle weakness triggered by typically, like I said, a positive emotion. There's not loss of consciousness. Patients are aware during the entire event. Now, if it lasts long enough, like a status cataplecticus, patients may actually go into REM sleep or have some hallucinations, but there's usually there is an awareness. There is not a loss of consciousness with cataplexy, which is an important distinction. And oftentimes, cataplexy might be called syncope or something like that. But there's actually preservation of consciousness. All right, so here's one more video for you. All right, so there's another entity in children typically called cataplectic facies. So I'm going to show you some videos to kind of capture this as well. There's actually 3 patient videos in this. So you can see here a child, he's actually watching this cartoon. And as he's doing this, you can see the mouth, the sagging, potentially even a little bit of tongue thrusting, some ptosis. There's the tongue thrusting a little bit there. And here you'll end up seeing a cataplectic attack in a child that actually leads to a fall. All right. So now that you know what cataplexy looks like or have a better appreciation of it, let's talk about what's the cause of narcolepsy. So here's an important discovery back in 2000, demonstrating some brain slices in patients with narcolepsy on the left, and then control brains on the right. And basically, on the narcolepsy brain in the top left, you don't see any of these dots. These dots are actually mRNA, precursor to the hypocretin peptide. You don't see them in in a patient with narcolepsy, the brain, and you do see it in the control brain. And then in the bottom one, you don't see a peptide in the narcolepsy brain, but you do see the peptide, the hypocretin peptide, in the control brain. And so narcoleptics, typically have an 85 to 95% reduction in the number of hypocretin neurons. So it's dating back to as early as 1983. There's been this association or report that patients with narcolepsy have a unique HLA marker. And so that's been refined to basically almost all patients are believed to carry this marker, HLA DQB 10602. In the general population, this marker is found in 25–50% of folks. But in patients with classic NT1, nearly all patients carry this. And so if you have a patient with, type 1 narcolepsy, cataplexy, and the HLA is negative, you certainly need to do a more sophisticated investigation and potentially further tests. Now, there are case reports of patients being HLA negative, and then when they actually undergo a spinal tap to check for the hypocretin in the cerebrospinal fluid, they actually lack the hypocretin. But those cases are few and far between, probably, I would guess, less than 15 cases actually reported in the literature at this point. So what's the circuitry involved in cataplexy? So I'm going to try to walk you through this. The overarching figure is just capturing a positive emotion here, such as laughter, and then that goes to the medial prefrontal cortex, and then moves on to the amygdala, which is very important in processing emotions. And it also would go to the hypocretin neurons, but in patients with narcolepsy, that's missing. And so the blue lines indicate activation and the red lines indicate inhibition. If it's dashed, there's a reduction. So because patients with narcolepsy lack the hypocretin, there's a reduction in this activation here. And that actually leads to reduced activity in these brain regions that actually inhibit REM sleep, block REM sleep from occurring. Now, one important thing when you think of REM sleep is that it's completely normal when we have REM sleep to be paralyzed. There's actually inhibition of muscle tone during REM sleep. And so when you have reduced areas of the brain that have reduced activity, and so they're not inhibiting REM sleep as much here, that then goes on and you see a reduction in inhibition, which leads to increased activities in neurons promoting REM sleep atonia. That's the muscle paralysis. That goes on to activate a different area, and ultimately motor neurons are inhibited, and we have cataplexy. And so you can see these sudden positive emotions go from the medial frontal cortex to potentially to the hypocretin neurons, and then also travel through the amygdala as well. So let's now turn our attention to some of the current pharmacologic treatments. So this is just an overview of the classic list of medications that we can use to treat cataplexy specifically. So one of the more typically used antidepressants for cataplexy is venlafaxine. So I have the doses here, but that's not too important right now. Just know that antidepressants are used. And while we're talking about antidepressants, some of the classic antidepressants, historically we were using fluoxetine or tricyclic antidepressants like clomipramine. And then there's also tamoxifen and most recently pitolisant, which is the most recent or one of the more recent FDA-approved medications for both narcolepsy, sleepiness, and cataplexy in patients with narcolepsy. In addition, one of the newer medications to recently receive approval is a lower sodium oxybate formulation, indicated both for sleepiness and cataplexy. So venlafaxine, here's the typical doses for this. This is actually a serotonin and norepinephrine reuptake inhibitor. Extended releases are actually preferred. Remember, we talked about that rebound cataplexy. And so if you're taking a shorter acting version of an antidepressant or something, there's more likely that as the day goes on, you get farther from that first dose, that you might get some cataplexy. So we really promote longer acting formulations. And again, yeah, like we talked about, there's a risk for the rebound cataplexy. Its onset of action is quite quick. So, you have a patient that's naive to venlafaxine, has cataplexy, and you start this, you would expect that fairly quickly, within a day or so, that you would see a treatment response. So next we'll talk about sodium oxybate, and then the more recently approved lower sodium oxybate. So as far as the mechanism, it is debated, but certainly this is a GABA B receptor agonist. It's dosed at night, so it does actually show some improvement in nocturnal sleep. There's a host of side effects, and a lot of them are transient in nature, such as enuresis, bedwetting, maybe decreased appetite, maybe slightly increased anxiety. Those are the more typical things that patients might experience. Unlike medications like venlafaxine, where if you stop it for a day, you might get increased risk, or a day or two, you might increase risk of rebound cataplexy. That's not really seen with sodium oxybate. And in fact, it takes this medication is kind of fascinating in that the half-life of this medication is like around 30, 40 seconds. But patients have to take it. That's also why they have to take it twice per night, typically. But the full treatment effect might take several weeks to fully appreciate. So also one of the newly approved medications in the US is pitolisant. Here are the dosings. It's actually a histamine, like an H3 receptor antagonist or inverse agonist. So I like to think of this or the analogy of, or just the idea that Benadryl, which is an antihistamine, a classic antihistamine, some folks will take that actually to induce sleep. This is actually going in the opposite direction. It's actually increasing histamine. And that does have the FDA approval for both sleepiness and cataplexy. It's one of the more common side effects with this medication, which is different than some of our other medications, such as sodium oxybate or wake-promoting medications such as modafinil. Well, actually, that's not true. Modafinil does also cause headaches, but headache is one of the more common side effects for pitolisant. And some of the older antidepressants like fluoxetine or citalopram, they can be effective against cataplexy as well. They're not really used as frequently anymore. Sometimes if there's some underlying anxiety, perhaps I might think about using fluoxetine. Clomipramine, really not used anymore due to, you can see over here, the adverse effects. This is a tricyclic antidepressant, and basically increases serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine. So it's not too selective at all, or not selective at all. Tamoxetine is a norepinephrine reuptake inhibitor. It might have a mild stimulant effect. You might have to take it as a divided dose. Certainly should monitor the heart rate and blood pressure with this medication. And if there's, this medication is also FDA approved for ADHD. And so, but if there's some concentration, some lingering mild cataplexy still remaining, sometimes we can add this on for additional effect. So there's definitely been a lot of new FDA approvals and a lot of research and upcoming promise in pharmacologic treatments for narcolepsy. So let's talk about some of the up and coming. So Takeda is actually one of the first ones to start trials in the use of selective hypocretin orexin receptor agonists, right? So going back to the cause of narcolepsy, cataplexy, it's the loss of hypocretin, aka orexin. In medicine, we like to have two names for everything. And so this molecule, hypocretin, is also called orexin. Pharmaceutical industry has gravitated towards the use of orexin. So this is great. I mean, so narcolepsy, cataplexy was discovered to be due to the loss of hypocretin, back in approximately 1999, 2000. Fast forward 20 years, and we finally are have this hypocretin receptor agonist. It's not replacing the hypocretin, which may come at a later date, but it's an agonist to rev up or stimulate the receptor, the hypocretin receptor. In some of their preliminary work that's reported, nothing's published, just company reports that it was tolerated in patients with narcolepsy type 1, and it actually increased wakefulness compared to placebo. It was also tolerated in healthy sleep-deprived adults and increased wakefulness. And then an oral TAK 994 reduced narcolepsy symptoms in mouse models. And it was also shown to, these meds were also shown to improve wakefulness as well. So that's a very promising area, and an area that we're very excited and then following closely. So another medication that's been around for quite some time and has been used in Europe and in many countries for the treatment of depression is reboxetine, ASX12. It's a highly selective and potent norepinephrine reuptake inhibitor. In a phase 2 trial, it was shown to significantly reduce cataplexy and sleepiness compared to sleep placebo. And hopefully sometime this year, they'll be starting a phase 3 trial for this medication. FT218, this is a once nightly formulation of sodium oxybate, using a proprietary micropump technology. They've completed a phase 3 study, meeting all 3 co-primary endpoints, including cataplexy, and they actually submitted an NDA, a new drug application, to the FDA in late 2020. This is another compound, SUVN G3031. It's another histamine H3 antagonist, inverse agonist, that's also being investigated in patients with narcolepsy with or without cataplexy. This is just a great resource for patients to visit, clinicaltrials.gov. If you want to find, what studies are currently being done, the pharmaceutical companies are required to report their trials here, and you can actually see what's actively recruiting and where some of the sites are for these trials. So definitely, encourage you to visit that website. But that's it for the talk, and I hope you enjoyed this, and thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Caroline. I'm 18 years old, and I am the lead youth ambassador for Narcolepsy Network. As you can tell, I am in a public place, so I apologize for wearing my mask, but I am currently on campus where I go to college. So I will be talking to you today about my experience with cataplexy as a patient. So I was diagnosed with narcolepsy when I was 14 years old. I didn't actually realize I had cataplexy until a couple months later, less than 6 months, but it was definitely a while later. I used to think that cataplexy was normal. I thought that expressions like weak in the knees and rolling on the floor laughing out loud were what I was feeling. When someone made me laugh, I was weak in the knees and I was also rolling on the floor laughing out loud. So I didn't realize that I had cataplexy. I eventually did realize when my neurologist talked to me later at a follow-up appointment and was just describing it to me, and I was like, wait a minute, that's not normal? So it turns out that yes, I do have type 1 narcolepsy, aka narcolepsy with cataplexy. My cataplexy has been unusually severe. There's a very wide array of how cataplexy can exhibit in patients. It can be extremely mild and infrequent, or it can be extremely debilitating. So examples of mild cataplexy could be anything from feeling weakness in your fingers or weakness in your body, but still having complete control. Or it could be something like when you're laughing, your jaw kind of sags, your tongue kind of hangs out, or just like drooping of facial muscles that you can't control. It can also be slightly more pronounced, but not super dramatic. It can be your head kind of sagging when someone makes you angry or someone makes you laugh. It could be the inability to do like fine motor skills with your fingers, but you can still control your hands. Or it can be like needing to sit down, but not like falling down, because you can feel that your legs are weak, but you can still control them. And then you can get into the more severe symptoms, which is what I experienced. My cataplexy was both very easy to trigger and very severe. So I, for example, would wear knee pads regularly because if my brother said anything to me that was remotely funny, I was going completely down to the ground every single time. So I have like small scrapes and scars on my arms and legs from repeatedly falling into bushes, falling on the concrete, just lots of small repeated fall injuries. Yes, my cataplexy was unusually severe. I had trouble getting my driver's license. I had to wait to get my driver's license because my cataplexy was so common. I could easily have 10 cataplexy attacks in half an hour. My biggest triggers were laughter, anger, and surprise. So, for example, my brother, I love him, but he's my big brother, so you know how he is. He would sometimes jump out from behind a door or behind a corner and scare me, and I would immediately completely collapse to the ground, head to toe paralysis. So, that's a very dramatic example, but thankfully, taking medication has made me a lot more independent and has made my cataplexy a lot better. So nowadays, if something like that were to happen, I might just feel weak, or I might like drop my arms to my sides, like drop what I'm holding because my fingers and my hands lose muscle tone, but I won't completely go to the ground. More common problems that I face with cataplexy now that it's very well managed is if I'm very stressed, like if my ambient emotions, how I've been feeling like in general all day, are kind of tense, I'll feel my cataplexy more easily. So, for example, if I'm really stressed about a paper I have to do, and then something makes me angry, my cataplexy will be triggered. Whereas if I was just angry and I wasn't stressed before, it wouldn't have been. So I feel like a lot of it is just the environment around me. But again, my cataplexy is much better than it used to be. I can walk, I can drive. I'm not like concerned to laugh because I'm like, oh no, it's gonna happen. So I'm doing a lot better, but it definitely has some complications that you have to keep in mind. So I'm a rower. My Mid-Atlantic rowing shirt said I should rep. But with cataplexy, if I'm feeling a lot of adrenaline, feeling pumped for a race, if we're about to win, I can sometimes accidentally let go of the oar. Like when you're rowing, you have an oar, of course. And if I get really excited, I can sometimes feel my body weaken and I know I can't push as hard. And sometimes I'll even like lose my ability to like manipulate the oar the way that I need to. So the way that I try to counteract that is by trying to just like go to somewhere else in my head if I feel myself getting like really amped up. Because excitement is a good thing, but not if it'll cause me to lose the race. So I'll try to just think about other things. I rowed all through high school, and I'm also a rower in college. This is my freshman year. I'm very excited for when I'll be able to actually row on the team because with the pandemic, I have not been able to. But I try to use different management techniques. Like, for example, there are some days where I tell my coach, I'm like, I know that my cataplexy is bad today. I know that my EDS is bad today. So there are times where I'll just ask to either be put in a less competitive boat, or I'll say, I just can't come today, or I can watch, but I'm going to have to sit out. So I feel like being honest with the people around you is incredibly helpful. Because if you don't explain what's happening, they can think that you have a bad attitude or that you're a quitter or that you're lazy, and that's obviously not the case. I had a new coach relatively recently, and I realized I forgot to tell her. And she was like, at the end of races, I can see you just kind of give up. Like, what's that about? Is everything okay? And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I didn't tell you. So I told her sometimes if I get really excited, I physically cannot push as hard as I used to be because my muscles are weakened. So what she thought was me like giving up in the last home stretch was me not being able to control my body. So between my management techniques and by telling coaches and teammates, it's made things a lot better. Because it would also be understandably frustrating if someone in a team sport seemed like they weren't pulling their weight. And it's not that I'm not pulling my weight, it's that I sometimes can't. So people are understanding if you tell them why, but they would never think to assume that it's a medical thing first. So yes, I feel like honesty has always been my best policy when it comes to all things in life, but especially cataplexy. Because cataplexy can be so visible or so discreet, it's very important to explain because people will either think that there's something deeply wrong, like if you collapse to the floor, someone might try to do CPR on you. Or if you don't have visible cataplexy, but you can feel it, someone might be like, why did you stop doing what you were doing? Like, what's up? So I always try to explain to the people around me my symptoms so they can best support me. And that is especially true with coaches, teachers, bosses, and friends. If you have a teacher who sees you goofing around in class and then you just kind of sink to the floor, they'll be like, are you okay? So it's important for them to know, oh, I have a condition called cataplexy. I'm fully aware. I'm physically fine. So you just need to be aware what to look out for and not to worry too much. And with friends, they can be supportive. One of the biggest triggers of cataplexy is laughter. And I don't know about your friends, but my friends make me laugh all the time. So if they're going to say something that they know will appeal to my sense of humor, they'll warn me and like tell me to like hold onto their shoulder or to sit down or something like that. Or if they know that I'm having a more severe day, we can change the activity. Like if we were going to go on a bike ride and I'm having a bad day with my energy or my cataplexy, we can hang out on the couch and watch TV instead. So I feel like being open is the best way to protect yourself and to have other people understand what you're going through.
Hello, thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us today. I'm Christine Hackenbrook. I'm on staff here at Narcolepsy Network, and I also run our virtual support group meetings. But today, I want to talk to you about food. As a tired mom of 3, one of which who has narcolepsy type 1, I need to have some healthy snacks on hand for the kids to grab during their Zoom school meetings. And it's hard. I gotta tell you, it is, but you can do it. So today I'm going to share 3 recipes. The first of which is egg bites, which you bake in the oven. And then the next one is a roasted nut mix. And that's a really great one for an afternoon pick-me-up snack. It's my favorite. And last, I'm going to share a quick video about how to make your own salad dressing for a quick and easy evening salad. So again, the base ingredients, just eggs, salt, pepper, cheese. I use avocado oil to spray my pan, but you can also use some paper liners. Preheat the oven to 400 degrees. Crack 4 eggs into a large bowl. Add your salt and pepper to taste, about 1 teaspoon each. You can also add some like garlic salt or something spicy. Now you're going to grate 1 cup of cheddar cheese. That's optional. I like freshly grated cheese because it doesn't have all those anti-caking chemicals and grossness. But you can use whatever you have. And now we're going to whisk together the eggs, the salt, and the pepper till it's all incorporated. Now you're going to add the cheese to your egg mixture. This is also the perfect time if you're going to mix it up and you're going to add like a cooked protein or some wilted spinach, red peppers. This is when you would add those things as well. And then you're going to stir it all to combine together. Now you're going to grab your muffin tin and spray it with avocado oil, or again, you can use paper or silicone liners. I also use the mini muffin tin because it just is fun to be bite-sized. And then I use a tablespoon scooper to fill up the muffin tin cups. You want to fill it a little over halfway so they don't, spill over in the oven when you bake them. And all filled up, now ready to go in the oven. And we're going to set the timer for 10 minutes. And they're done. So you want to stick a toothpick in one to make sure that the eggs are cooked all the way through. And then you can just eat them right from the pan or let them cool and store them in the fridge. I usually make these at night, and then I will have, the kids will just eat them the next day. They're great for breakfast or anytime. Eggs are a really nice complete protein. And the ingredients are raw nuts, butter, fresh rosemary, cayenne, cumin, salt, pepper, and maple syrup. I have rosemary in my front yard, so I went out and picked a bunch, but you can get fresh rosemary at most grocery stores. And here's everything you need. Again, I chose cashews, almonds, hazelnut, and pumpkin seeds, but you can choose whatever nuts you want. And you're going to want to preheat the oven to 350 degrees while you get everything else assembled. I use a kitchen scissors to chop the rosemary. I wasn't really able to get it as fine as I wanted, so maybe someone has a better trick for chopping rosemary. And then you can melt the butter in the microwave in just quick 15-second bursts so you don't melt it, and then stir. Now you're going to add all the spices, the chopped rosemary, cumin, cayenne, salt, and pepper, and stir it around. And then add the maple syrup because you don't want that to be too hot. Stir it around again. Then in a big bowl, you're going to add that yummy, delicious butter spice mixture to your nuts. Stir it all over. Make sure they're all nice and coated. Then you're going to stick it on a baking sheet with parchment paper and bake for 10 to 15 minutes. And you're going to stir about halfway through to make sure that they're all coated. I did not use enough salt the first time, so I'm adding some salt at the end while they're still warm. So the salt's going to really stick to all of that. Stir it around again, and then make sure you store it in an airtight container, because there is butter on there, so it will spoil, but it should keep for about a week if you can make it last that long. Recipe is a grilled chicken Caesar salad with homemade Caesar dressing. So for homemade dressing, you're going to have anchovy fillets, garlic, salt, an egg yolk, fresh lemon juice, Dijon mustard, avocado oil, and grated Parmesan. So you're going to want to season and cook your chicken if you're using that. Again, this can totally be done without meat. And then you're going to start making your dressing. So I'm peeling the garlic, and I've got my anchovy fillets. Then you're going to add salt to it and chop it up and make a paste. Full disclosure, I failed at making the paste. I think I should have left some more of the oil from the anchovies on my cutting board so it would get a little bit pastier. So then I added more salt, but I chopped it pretty fine. So that's how you want to get the paste. You want to like smush it with the side of your knife. But again, I'm sure you can do better than me. And now we need 1 egg yolk. I did end up doubling the recipe because there's 5 people in my house. We had this for dinner. And still really easy to make. So throw your egg yolk in there and then juice a lemon. And then add your Dijon mustard. I did not show that, but add that. And then also you can place a kitchen towel underneath your bowl so it doesn't slide around when you whisk, because you're going to whisk with one hand and pour the oil with the other hand. So you're going to whisk all this together first. And then you're going to slowly drizzle in the oil until it's all combined. And now I know this can seem like a lot, but I promise you it is really easy to do. You can make the dressing one day. You can, cook your chicken or whatever you're using another day. And then I just use bagged salad that I didn't have to wash or chop or anything. So this can be, like a multi-day process. Good way to use leftovers. Just wanted to show you that, making your own dressing is possible and it's delicious. I really recommend you trying it. And then you're going to add the anchovy and garlic paste. In my recipe, it's actually crumbles, but it was still delicious. Stir all that to combine. Then you're going to freshly grate some Parmesan cheese into your dressing. Chop some chicken or whatever you're using. Again, that's optional. And then add it to your bag salad mix, the dressing, and then toss to combine. More cheese. I love the cheese. And it's a Caesar salad. You gotta have the cheese. And voila, beautifully plated. Thank you for cooking with me today. All of the recipes can be adapted to your own personal taste.
I'm Jill Kimmel. Thank you so much for joining us. This is different than we've ever done it, but we are so happy and thankful to have you here with us raising money for this awesome cause. Within the last few years, I have undergone a major weight loss. I've lost over 100 pounds, which is very exciting. I feel a lot better about myself and that kind of thing. But it's interesting because when you lose that kind of weight, when you lose, over 100 pounds or so, you really think you're going to be skinny. It doesn't really work like that. Like I had like a muffin top and it just kind of all deflated to like a mud flap, which, there's nothing skinny about me. I look better in clothes. Yes, that is for sure. But underneath, it's like a melted candle. So be careful what you wish for. You do learn who your real friends are, though, in a situation like that, when you go through a major life change of any kind, whether it's a big weight loss or, joining the military or getting a divorce. You learn who is there for you, who really cares about you, who's happy for you. I ran into an old friend who I hadn't seen in like 6 months, and he goes, "Oh my God, you look like you climbed out of you." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "You are almost dateable now." I was like, okay. But my mom, for instance, is very, very honest, and she's helpful and she's kind. You want someone to be honest with you. And if your mom's not going to be honest with you, then who is really? When I'd lost all the weight and everything, she said to me, "I'm very, very happy for you. I really am. I know you were not happy at the weight that you were, and you're in pictures with the kids now, and you're active and you're doing things and you're healthier. And it's just great to see. But maybe you should wait on the tank tops." Because I was wearing tank tops and I have that loose skin thing that we get when we're old, and especially when you lose a bunch of weight. Yeah. I can't afford weight loss surgery to get rid of that. I can't afford the plastic surgery to get rid of that. But you know what I can afford? A tattoo of the American flag. That's right. Oh, say, can you see? Yeah. I grew up in Las Vegas. And whenever I go back to visit my friends in Vegas, they are what we call Vegas girls. Like in Vegas, if anyone's been there, you know that everything is under renovation at all times. Everything is trying to look bigger and better and more sparkly, and that includes the women. That's just the way it is in Vegas. And I go there and I see my old friends from junior high and high school, and they live there. So they are always like ready to go, and their like hair is blown out and their boobs are up here. And they're always like, oh my God, it's so good to see you. We're going to have an amazing time this weekend. Oh my God. And you're just like, what did you do to your mouth? Like, they're like, nothing. Oh my God, nothing. I just had like injections and Restylane and filler and like the Kylie Jenner lip challenge, and I sell lip scents now. Do you want to buy some? You're like, you like you're smelling hot garbage right now. Like, it's not a good look for you. They don't get it. They're just beyond. And I don't have time for any of that. Like, seriously, my boobs are like balloons 8 days after a party. They're just like swinging in the wind. I take No Shave November very seriously. Like, I just can't be bothered with any of that. And it's hard because I go there and it makes me feel bad about myself. I go to Vegas and I'm like a 4.5, and it is upsetting. But I do travel for work. I mean, before this whole COVID thing hit, I was all over the world. I was going all kinds of places. Like, for instance, right here in the United States. In Albuquerque, I'm damn near an 8. Yeah. Laughlin, 11. What's up, Laughlin? Hey, right? It's all about your perspective. So I was on these dating websites just to kind of get a feel for like what was out there, who was out there. And it's really hard to navigate these sites because even if you put in all the things you're looking for, sometimes the website itself works against you and doesn't give you the things you've narrowed down. Like, I would say, I want someone who's a non-smoker, and sometimes they would send me back a person who is a smoker. So then you wonder, you start to think like, who else is out there that I'm not seeing? Like, who are they filtering? So you maybe just don't even put in any filters, because at first I was like, I'm over 5'7". I want someone who's like 5'10" or above. I like to wear heels. You know, they have to love dogs. I don't want them to have kids. If they do, the mother has to be dead. You know, things that are important to me, I would put in there. And I was looking for someone, and it wasn't even matching me with the right people. I would get a match that would say like, you have a 97% match. And I go, oh, this is fantastic. And I'd open the email and up would come a picture of a unicorn. I'm like, really? Is it that hard to find a good guy? Is it that hard to find someone who's handsome and smart and smells nice and tells you you're beautiful and takes you your shopping? Are there guys out there like that? Yeah, they are. They're called gay men. So that doesn't do me a lot of good. But then I did meet someone in real life, which was nice. A close friend introduced me to someone, and we are dating. We've been together for 3 years, and it's really fun. It's awesome. I'm going to be 50 next month, and he is 36. So, you know, I spent a lot of time doing. I just spent a lot of time saying, how do you not know that? Are you serious right now? Our pop culture references are so far apart from each other. I was in the kitchen singing a Beastie Boys song, and he walks in, he's like, babe, that was amazing. Did you make that up? I was like, that's the Beastie Boys. He's like, oh yeah, I'm not really familiar with their work. I was like, what? They came out in like the early 80s. He goes, yeah, I wasn't born yet. He was born in 84. So I said, really? I mean, like, I wasn't born yet when George Washington was like popular, and I'm familiar with his work. No? It is fun though. We do have a lot of fun with it. We took my kids to the Grand Canyon a couple years ago, and we got there, and he said to the kids, you know, when your mom was young, this whole thing was just a little crack in the ground. I was like, you go to timeout right now. Don't come out until you've thought about what you've done. Thank you guys so much for being here. Go online, follow the links, donate heavily. We love you. We appreciate you. Thanks so much for being here.
Hello friends, I'm Jody with Shima Flow Yoga, and I've created this yoga practice specifically for you. Mild to moderate exercise every day can help ward off feelings or symptoms of fatigue and can help improve your quality of sleep. It can also lift your mood if you're feeling a little down. So in this yoga practice, it'll be a simple practice, but that does not mean it's going to be an easy practice. So make sure you listen to your body and take breaks when you need to. Let's get started. Okay, so we're going to get started in a posture called child's pose. Come into a tabletop position. If you need extra padding, you can fold a blanket or put something underneath your knees. Legs can be together, right? We're going to fold forward. You'll have support with your upper body, or you can open your knees wide, and as you fold forward, you kind of sink down in between the legs. You decide what works best for you. I'm just going to stack my arms here and rest my forehead on my hands and take a moment to feel the body. So just checking in with how you're feeling right now. And whatever you're feeling, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant or acceptable or not acceptable, let's find acceptance with what is, rather than fighting it. Accept. All right, doesn't mean you agree. Finding tolerance, contentment. Let's focus on your breath as you breathe in and out of your nose. Feel the coolness as you breathe in. Move up through the nostrils. And the warmth as you breathe out. Let's rise up into a tabletop position, so onto the hands and knees. Now you might not have a blanket handy, so what you can always do is just take your mat and fold it over if you need that extra padding underneath your knees, okay? When we come to tabletop, we bring the wrists under the shoulders, spread the hands, okay, like starfish. Knees are supporting the hips. Inhale, lift your heart, your tailbone, and your chin. So you're going to feel this dip in the back. That's called cow pose, right? Keep the belly just gently pulled in here and notice the compression through the back and through the spine. Now we're going to exhale and reverse this. We're going to round now into a cat pose. So push away, belly button up towards the spine, head drops down, chin to chest. Just look towards your navel or your thighs. Inhale, lower the belly, lift the heart, the tailbone, your chin, your gaze. Exhale, round the spine, cat pose. So we're just flexing and extending the spine, getting some movement going. Inhale, come back up into cow pose. And exhale into cat pose. Now notice if you're bending your elbows here, this would be more effort than you need. Keep your arms straight, okay, as you move through. A couple more times. We breathe in as we lift the heart. And breathe out as you round the spine, cat pose. Let's do one more, cow pose, inhale. And exhale, round the spine. All right, we're gonna come to a neutral spine now, flat back. And we're gonna come into a move called spinal balance, strengthening the core and kind of working on balance. So take your left leg, extend it behind you, and reach your right arm forward. Inhale. Good. Squeeze and lift. Reach through the fingertips. Press through the heel. Exhale. Release. Switch sides. Right leg, left arm. Inhale. Stretch. Reach. Straighten out. Feel the muscles engage. Pull the belly in. Exhale. Release down. Now it helps to keep your gaze down towards the mat. Switch sides. Left leg, right arm to help with balance here. And exhale. Release all the way down. Let's switch. Right leg, left arm, inhale. And exhale, release. Let's do one more each side. Left leg, right arm, inhale. Good, feel the strength, working on that balance. It's okay if you're wobbling a little bit, no problem. Exhale, release. And then switch. Right leg, left arm. Good. Release all the way down. Let's come back to child's pose as you sit back. Stretch your arms out in front of you. Spread the fingers again, nice and wide like starfish. Now we're going to rise up onto the knees. Keep your hands where they are. Tuck your toes. Lift your knees and your hips. Like the peak of a mountain, you're lifting the hips up nice and high. Now push into your hands and shift everything back. Your chest moving to your thighs. You might need to walk your feet in or out just a little bit. It's called downward facing dog. This is really a great posture to target the entire body. We really feel the stretch through the chest and the strength through the back as you sink down. Lift your tailbone, that peak of the mountain, a little higher, and then root down into your heels. Just focusing on your breath and how you're feeling. And again, it's all about practicing acceptance and continuing to move forward, right? This is how we cultivate a more peaceful place within. We're going to walk the hands back, okay, towards the feet into a forward fold. Now at this point, you might need to bend your knees a little bit if you need to, a little bit or maybe a lot. You decide what you want to do. You might not be able to touch the floor. In fact, most of us probably can't. So we're going to rest the hands either on the thighs or the shins, or even just bend the knees and allow yourself to grab onto your elbows here. Sway side to side a few times. Again, feeling the sensation in the body. And then release the arms. Keep the knees slightly bent and roll up one vertebrae at a time. Keep your head heavy and your chin towards your chest. We're going to stand all the way up and stretch the arms above the head. Take a big sweep of your arms up. Good. And then exhale. Bring your hands back down behind your back. Interlace your fingers. Okay. Lean back and lift your chest. Puff your chest up. And then bend in your knees slightly. Take another forward fold all the way back down. Drop your head down, look behind you. Now, if you have a small towel handy and you're feeling a little restricted in your arms, grab the towel and this will give you a little bit more range of motion to open up through the body. Good. Keep the knees bent. Let's rise all the way up. We're going to reach those arms back up towards the sky. And then exhale, bring your arms down to your side. All right, we're going to walk towards the front of the mat now. So as you come towards the front of the mat, and we're going to keep moving the body. This is called vinyasa, where we move one breath and one movement. It's a slow movement, but this is what's going to help move the energy in the body and get us a little pick-me-up here. So we're going to inhale, reach your arms above your head, okay? And I'm going to face you. You keep facing the direction you're at. Grab your left wrist, and then you're going to step out, okay, to the right and take a side bend. Okay, so we're stepping out, side bend to the right. Inhale, come back up to center and then switch. Grab the right wrist, side bend to the left. Inhale, reach back up, stretch through your fingertips. Exhale, forward fold. Bend the knees here if you need to. Drop all the way down. Feel the stretch in the back of the legs. Inhale, hands to shins. Lift halfway up. Exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, stand up. Take a big sweep of the arms. Really use the space that surrounds you. And then exhale, bring your hands to your heart center. Inhale, reach your arms up. Grab your left wrist. Exhale, step out to the right and take a side bend. Feel the stretch all the way along the side, through the ribs, through the hips. Inhale, come back to center. Switch hands, grab your right wrist, step out to the left, and exhale, side bend. Inhale, come back to center, and exhale, forward fold. Dive all the way back down. Bend the knees if you need to, right? Listen to your body, that's the key. Inhale, hands to shins, lift halfway. So you're shaped like the number 7, right? Pull the shoulder blades together, shoulders away from the ears, and your gaze is down, right below your eyes. Exhale, fold down. Maybe you can sink a little deeper this time. Inhale, stand up. Stretch your arms above your head. Good. Let's grab the left wrist. Step out to the right. Side bend. Inhale, come back to center. Switch sides. Step out to the left. Exhale, side bend. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, forward fold. Take a dive all the way down. Inhale, lift halfway. Hands to shins, flat back. Exhale, fold down. Again, possibly just a little deeper. Stand up, reach your arms above your head. Let's do it one more time. Grab your left wrist, step out to the right, side bend. Stretch feels so good. Take it back to center. And then over to the left, side bend. Good. Inhale, come to center. And exhale, forward fold all the way down. Inhale, lift halfway. And exhale, fold. All right, from here, we're going to take the left foot. We're going to step it all the way back into a lunge, and we're going to drop the back knee down. Untuck your toe. You might need to pad your knee up here. If so, just fold the outside of your mat in and double up the padding under the knee. Inhale, reach your arms up. Reach back. Now just pause for a moment as you feel this stretch. If we're really high up into this lunge, we're not going to feel too much going on in the lower body. So do your best to kind of sink those hips down. Reach up and back. Take the gaze up. Upper arms back by your ears. Exhale. Start to straighten your front leg. Send your hips back. Place your hands on the floor or on your thigh and fold forward. If you want to go deeper, you can sit all the way back and take a forward bend. Good. So we're moving that energy through the body. Now walk it forward. Inhale back into your lunge. This time you keep the left hand down and twist the right arm up. Okay. If you want a little more, tuck your back toe and lift your knee up. Now open up through the chest, kind of lean back a little bit. Don't force anything, but allow yourself to get the full range of motion that your body is capable of in this moment. Exhale, release the right hand. We're going to step forward into your forward fold. Inhale, hands to shins. Let's lift halfway. You can even place the hands to your thighs here as you lift halfway. Okay, we're going to exhale and lower back down. Step the right foot all the way back. Drop the back knee. Remember, pad up that knee a little extra if you need to. And then inhale, reach your arms up. Good. Big stretch in the front of the body, through the hips, the quadricep, the chest. Working, moving. We call it prana, right? Energy through the body. Now, straighten your front leg. Start to lean back. You can place your hand right on your thigh here. Start to fold. You can release your hands down, go a little deeper, or sit all the way back and get deeper into the stretch. Whatever works best for your body. Walk it back forward into your lunge. Right hand stays down, okay? Twisting, left arm reaches. And if you want more, tuck the back toe, lift the back knee. Now stretch and open the body. Good. Exhale, release the left hand down. We're going to step back forward into your forward fold. Inhale, hands to shins or to your thighs. Lift halfway, pull the shoulders back. Really press into your thighs or your shins. And then exhale, fold back down. Stand up and reach your arms above your head. And bring your hands to your heart. Let's try that again. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, forward fold, come on down. Inhale, flat back, hands to shins. Nice stretch in the hamstrings here. Exhale, hands down. Step your left leg back. Drop your back knee. Inhale, arms rise. Moving into your crescent lunge, or we call it crescent moon. Exhale, sit back and fold. Again, hands can come here to your thigh, down towards the mat, or sit all the way back and fold. It's not so much what you look like, right? It's what you're feeling in your body. Okay, walk it forward. Every posture is a general shape. You decide what shape is going to be best for you based on how you feel. Let's twist. Good. Open it up. Maybe you need to sink your hips deep. Maybe you need to pull them back, right? Just exploring the sensation. And then release all the way down. Let's step back forward into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands down, right foot steps back. Drop your right knee. Inhale, reach your arms up. Good. Sink the hips deeper, reach the arms back. Never forcing, being really present with your body. Let's straighten the front leg. Find the expression of the posture that works best for you. Walk it back forward. Right hand is down. Twisting left arm up. Again, if you want more, the back knee lifts. Open it up. Exhale. Let's take the left leg back now and come to child's pose. Take a moment to feel the body. If you tune in, if you really bring yourself into this moment, you can feel the energy moving through your body, the vibration. Let's rise all the way up. Swing the legs around in front of you. Both legs extend. Inhale, reach your arms up. And exhale, take a forward fold. Good. So, if you can't reach your feet, okay, just reach your hands out where you can. All right. You can, if you have a small towel with you, you can wrap it around your feet and pull yourself in. Let's flex the feet and then bend your knees if you need to. But if you need more, you can start to press your knees down and sink a little deeper. Okay. Just focus on the breath. Good. Rise all the way up again. Reach your arms above your head. Take a twist. Exhale, right hand behind, left arm to the outside of the thigh. Keep your chest lifted. Try not to lean back into this back hand, okay? Instead, we're sitting up tall. We're strengthening the core. We're elongating the spine, right? That moves the energy up. It keeps us more alert. And then reach back up again. Inhale. And exhale, twist over to the left. Take the gaze behind you. Sitting up tall, again, not leaning back onto that back hand. Good, come back to center, inhale. Exhale, release. We're going to come on to the back. Bend your knees. Place your hips right underneath, or place your heels right underneath your knees, arms to your sides. Tuck your tailbone under and lift your hips up. Inhale. Okay, so you notice how we rolled kind of one vertebrae up. Now we're going to roll one vertebrae down, all the way down. Keep your pelvis tucked under and lower down. Again, tuck under, roll up one vertebrae at a time. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, again, lower down one vertebrae at a time. Let's do it again. Tuck under, slowly lift, push into your feet, push into your arms. Inhale. And then exhale, lower back down. A little massage going on through our spine in the back. Tuck under, slowly start to lift, start to feel it in the back of the neck. And then again, from the top of the spine all the way bottom. Tailbone's last thing to drop. Let's do it one more time. Tuck under, lift up, inhale. And exhale, lower down. Okay, bring your feet just a little wider than the knees. Drop them to the right. Come to center. Over to the left. Come to center. Again to the right. And center. And left. All right, let's come back up to a seated position. Good. Coming back to the front. So hopefully you're feeling the energy moving in your body now. We started to get moving, connecting our breath and our body. If you feel you need that extra rest of Shavasana, maybe take a 1-minute Shavasana at your own leisure. Otherwise, let's join the hands to the heart, taking this moment for love and for gratitude for this moment and every moment to come. Namaste.